Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be v.i.c.e. Project Doom for the NES. Probably about as close to Ninja Gaiden as you'll get without being Ninja Gaiden. Minus some of the good parts, like actually good cutscenes. No, actually v.i.c.e. Project Doom is actually a pretty cool game. Cutscenes aside, they're really bare bones in this compared to Ninja Gaiden. But the gameplay is really cool, it's really tight, it's got pretty good graphics, boss fights aren't too complex, and so they're fun to play. And overall, it's a really cool game. It also has a variety of gameplay styles, which is really interesting, something that Ninja Gaiden did not do. You'll find yourself in top-down shoot-'em-up sections twice throughout the course of this game. You'll also find yourself in first-person on-rail shooting sections, I think 2 or 3 times throughout the course of the game, to go along with your typical side-scrolling 2D platforming action. v.i.c.e. Project Doom also gives you a variety of weapons at your disposal. Not in the same way Ninja Gaiden does, where you have special item drops, but you have 3 weapons you always have on hand in v.i.c.e. Project Doom. You have a sword, kind of like Ninja Gaiden, except your sword actually goes overhead, which makes it a little more useful in some regards. You've got a short-range handgun, a projectile-based weapon, and then you've also got a set of grenades you can use, and they go like 3/4 of the way across the screen and do a lot of damage. So, the game gives you a few different ways to, take on your enemies and whatnot. Now, I would like to make a disclaimer, much like in other Let's Plays I've been doing recently, I'm just going to skip through the whole story. I really don't find the story all that interesting in this game, but if you're really curious about it, you check out a different video or wait to try this game out for yourself if you haven't played it before. I do recommend playing this game, but I'm not really sure if it's worth the current going rates. I noticed that prices on this cartridge have gone up big time. It's like a $25 or $30 game now, cartridge only, apparently, on the NES, which is really absurd to me. Not because it's not a good game. I think people that buy it for 25 or 30 bucks will get their money's worth out of it. It's a really solid, Ninja Gaiden style game, and there weren't really a whole lot of games like that on the NES that really played like Ninja Gaiden, but also got up to that sort of level of quality in terms of gameplay, at least, that Ninja Gaiden had. But it's absurd to me because it was a game that was like $5 just a couple of years ago, and it's always been a really cheap game on the system. It doesn't really seem like it's that rare, per se, but apparently it is now. So, yeah. So here we go. We're on our first side-scrolling action platforming level, and couple things you got to watch out for in this game. You've got these, if you see cracks in the platforms on this first level, don't touch it. The floor will fall away, and I'll sort of demonstrate that for you in a few moments. There's actually a safe part to demonstrate that later on in this stage. But once you start falling on those falling platforms, you're pretty much stuck, and you're forced to go down with it, and it's really hard to recover from that. So like right here, notice how I was just sort of like falling with it, so you have to be really careful about that. Like there's another one right here, just jump over those. Not the best first level design if you ask me. You can actually die really quickly by accidentally falling down a hole from a falling platform like that. And you know what's funny is that's actually one of the things that's probably the trickiest in this game. v.i.c.e. Project Doom is not... I wanted to say when starting this video that, ooh, that was bad. That was my fault. And I'll show you how to deal with that. I should have dealt with that completely differently. This is a habit I have to get out of when I play this game, is I'm so used to Ninja Gaiden and like, oh, well, I've just got to run in and take everything out with the sword. Well, no, in v.i.c.e. Project Doom, take them out with a grenade. Just play it nice and safe, play it nice and slow. Man, I forgot what I was going to say before that. Anyways, we've got our first boss fight here. And this guy I typically like to just take out with the grenades if I can from a distance. And generally you can jump on these platforms, usually only when they're mid-tier or upper tier. Or lower tier, sorry, not upper tier. When he throws them high, basically you can't jump on top of them. So you want to duck them. Most bosses in this game are relatively simple like this. Not too complex. Although the bosses definitely do get more challenging as you go through throughout this game. For most of the game, I like to just play with the sword. It's very fast to come out, and it allows you to also save your ammunition for harder parts in the game, like trickier platforming sections or boss fights or something like that. These little canisters right there, those are health pickups, I believe. I think they give you like a couple hit points back. So your health bar is in the bottom right-hand portion of the screen. And much like Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania or something like that, the boss life also appears right below yours when you get to a boss fight. You can actually jump over there, sort of a little bit of a shortcut. There aren't too many shortcuts throughout the course of this game, as far as I remember. I've only figured out a couple. So, you know, I'm not really sure how good this game is for speedrunning. I'm not really sure if there are really any instances where you can do, like, fancy damage boosts or anything like that. So for those of you guys that are actually, you know, that are pretty decent on Ninja Gaiden, that use a lot of tricks to get through the game, you might be disappointed with this game because it doesn't seem like it's set up quite the same as Ninja Gaiden in that regard. So this guy, when he gets to one side of the screen, he'll just run to the other side, and if you just get near him and duck, you can notice you can just duck his fireballs. So one thing that's kind of interesting, and I don't know if this is throughout the entire course of the game, or if it's just at very specific parts like the final boss, but when you run out of ammunition on your grenades and your pistol, they actually recharge a little bit. At least the grenades do. The pistol might not recharge. I don't remember. But the final boss actually requires you to use the grenades, otherwise you can't kill him. And so on the final boss, I know for sure that it just respawns your grenades slowly. Like, ooh, that was bad. Man, that's bad. We've already died twice. This is really a game I should have warmed up for before doing this Let's Play. It's been a few weeks now since I last ran through this game and figured out, hey, I can actually Let's Play this game. You guys know when I like to Let's Play these games, I like to try to be able to beat them while I'm doing the Let's Plays for you guys. Otherwise, I don't know, it's not the same effect for me. I don't really like watching Let's Plays where people don't complete the game, and so I try to complete the games when I'm doing these Let's Plays. There are exceptions, and you guys know that. But for short NES games like this, I generally won't Let's Play it unless I either A, completely know I'll never beat it, and I just want to Let's Play for fun, or B, I definitely know I can beat it, and I usually don't Let's Play any games in between. Like, if I know I can beat it, but I haven't practiced it, and I'm not confident with it yet, I'm not going to Let's Play. I'm going to wait until I put some practice in, either through streaming it on Twitch, or playing it on my own time. I'll basically put it on the back burner for a while. v.i.c.e Project Doom was actually one of those games I had on the back burner for many years. And I meant to Let's Play it a long time ago, but I was so out of practice on the game that I wasn't sure if I'd be able to actually complete it again. Because the last time I had actually finished this game was just out of high school, back in about 2002 or so, I think, is when I probably first beat this game. Maybe 2001, early 2001. That's when I was starting to collect NES carts frequently again. And I remember the game being really hard too, back then. But again, we're talking like 15 years ago now, as of recording this video. And what's actually interesting about this game is revisiting it now as a 30-something-year-old adult who's been playing a lot of video games recently. I actually found it to be less difficult than I remembered. So, for those of you guys having problems with the Ninja Gaiden games, you might actually find v.i.c.e Project Doom to be a little more forgiving in some instances. In some ways, it's tougher. Like, the enemy placement isn't as good in some ways, in my opinion. You have a lot of guys like that pop up out of the ground, and then they shoot these projectiles at you, but the projectiles fire out in a way that it's almost impossible to avoid them at certain parts of the game. So v.i.c.e Project Doom has a lot of that going on, where Ninja Gaiden, all the Ninja Gaiden, you can pretty much avoid every single enemy in the game if you know what you're doing. But in this game, it doesn't seem quite like that. So in some cases, this game might be harder than the Ninja Gaidens. In other cases, I think it's easier. For instance, your sword, again, it also attacks overhead. So if an enemy's directly above you, you can just use your sword and kill the enemy. You can't really do that in Ninja Gaiden without a special power-up. So like, bam, you know, fish is coming right down on top of my head. It's like, sorry, I've got a sword over top of my head. You're dead, you know? Bam, just did it again, just like that. So, no, I'm kind of beating a dead horse with the whole comparison to Ninja Gaiden thing, but, you know, if you're a fan of those games, I do really recommend checking this game out. It is a really solid game for fans of the Gaiden games, and it's just a really solid game overall. And, you know, there's some aspects I don't care that much for, like the story, but to be fair, in a lot of NES games, I don't really follow the story. You know, it's just an era of gaming where many stories were pretty lackluster. I guess you could probably still say the same for many modern games as well, but, you know, the NES wasn't really a platform that was ideal for really good storytelling. Some games were able to pull off, especially games that revolved more around text, you know, your role-playing games and adventure games. But your action platformer games, not so much. So this guy, you pretty much just have to duck his projectile every now and then. And I don't think there's any other way to hurt him other than using your sword overhead. You'll notice that the boss's weak point is positioned just over your head, so you pretty much have to use, like, the overhead swipe in order to damage that boss, just like I was talking about shortly before that. So this is probably about where the game starts getting a little bit trickier. You don't want to hit these blades or fans or whatever they are above and below you. They will hurt you. But still, even though it's getting a little more tricky, it is still the kind of game where if you just take your time, you shouldn't have too much trouble with it. I do have a tendency of rushing in these kinds of games. It's just how I like to play this and the Ninja Gaiden games. Of course, now I'm kind of making it a point to play it a little bit slower, not bolting through as fast as I can. You know, sort of just taking my time here, and yeah. Ooh! Man, I'm making some really bad mistakes today. Oh, man. When I was streaming this game on Twitch a few weeks back, I wasn't doing anything like this, but maybe I'm just not in the right mindset right now. It is very easy to just fall off a ladder, though. If you hold left or right, your guy will actually move to the left or right, and then eventually off the ladder completely. It's not one of those games where once you're on a ladder, you're stuck on the ladder. If you hold left or right, it works actually completely in the opposite way. If you hold left or right... Well, I can't demonstrate it right here. Well, if I get to a taller ladder, I'll try to demonstrate it. I'm taking a lot of hits and not really getting punished for it. I still have a lot of my health. If this was Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania, we probably would have been dead by now, taking those 4 or 5 hits. Because in those games, the farther you get throughout the course of the game, the more life enemies will take off of you. Actually, it's not entirely true for Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden enemies just typically do a lot of damage anyway, but in Castlevania, it starts off that enemies are relatively weak, and then they get stronger, you know, over the course of the game. So, like, in the first level, an enemy might take 2 hit points off you in Castlevania, but by the end of the game, it'll take, like, 4 or 5 or something along those lines. Ninja Gaiden, the enemies have more, rigid hit point patterns. I think the birds always do like 3 damage in Ninja Gaiden. Alright, see if I can remember how to beat this guy. Remember this guy giving me a little bit of trouble. But I think this is really all you have to do is just get next to him. Uh-oh. That's bad. And that's game over. We gotta do the whole stage over again, I think. Actually, not the whole stage. Looks like it did give us a checkpoint. Man, that's really disappointing. I was hoping to just roll right through this game without any problems, but I made some really bad mistakes and paid the price for it. And there are some bosses in this game where I am not 100% familiar with them simply because, you know, Vice Project Doom's not a game like Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania for me, where I would literally go back and play it at least once a year, you know, since I was a kid. Like Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania, I probably haven't gone a year without playing either of those games. Whereas Vice Project Doom, before getting prepped for this Let's Play, it had been about 15 years before I had really played it. Like, really played it since. I have done some, like, casual videos on it in the past, where I play through, like, the first level and talk to you guys about it. But that wasn't really playing the game. Like, I'd play the first level or two. I never beat the game in those instances, so... getting to these parts of the game... are definitely still tricky for me because I just don't know the boss patterns as well as I probably could. Got him. When you've got the sword, you can attack the bosses really quickly. Like, you should be able to take off 5 or 6 hit points in just a very short, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and every hit will count. Which is nice. I like it when games do that, when you know, they don't give the bosses, like, invincibility frames or anything like that. So, like, the second your attack comes out is the second you're doing damage, which is really cool. There are a couple of games out there that do that. Ninja Gaiden, Strider, does Castlevania do it? I don't know if the first one does it. But I know that there's a couple of games out there that I really like that do that. I like it when games handle their sort of enemy hit detection in that manner. So I like that it basically opens up, you know, it gives you flexibility in the playstyle that you can use to tackle a game. You can either take it slow, or if you're just crazy, you can get up and take it really quickly, really fast, and just take bosses out almost instantly, and I like that. When I get really familiar with the game, I like to have a really aggressive playstyle. That's just kind of how I have always liked to do things. I was just thinking to myself, like, man, I need to Let's Play Strider, and then I realized I already have a Let's Play of that. I think I've just got a Let's Play of the arcade version of that. I don't think I've done a Let's Play on the Genesis version yet. I'm gonna have to look into that, because I haven't done the Genesis version. I need to do that, because it's really solid port of the arcade games. Not as good as the arcade game, but it's still pretty cool. Pretty fun to play still. But yeah, it's just another example of one of those games where you can just do tons of damage really quickly. Every single hit that comes out. And in Strider, you can attack really fast. Even faster than you can in any, like, the Ninja Gaiden games or Vice Project Doom. And that's it for that boss. This might be... Is this the final level? No, it's not. Okay. I think this is where some enemies start taking more hits. They start taking, like, 2 hits, typically. These guys with the big, like, legs, you have to hit them in the head. Yeah, like, these dudes take 2 hits. The hit detection is a little weird on the little walking guys, too. With the extendable necks. Because as you guys probably saw, like, I tossed a grenade right through its head, but it didn't actually hit the guy, which is odd. But I went up and hit him with the sword in the same spot, and it was fine, so... So, like, here's an example. I just hold right on a ladder, and you literally just, like, slide right off. So you have to be really, really careful with ladders in this game. You know, it's not like Mega Man, where if you're on a ladder and you hold left or right, well, you don't do anything. You stay on the ladder. But in v.i.c.e. Project Doom, you can just walk right off ladders, usually into pits, because ladders are usually only situated in this game, usually where there's a pit nearby, like right next to you, or something like that. So... getting a little sloppy. I'm like, I don't really care. I'll take some hits. Some of the level design in this game is a little confusing, like this part right here. Apparently this is your exit. It's the sort of thing where you just won't really know until you find the ladder and actually go down it. And this is our boss fight. This is actually a really easy boss fight. So, like, the progression and difficulty of the boss fights, and this is something I noticed when I was streaming this on Twitch a few weeks back, is that the progression of difficulty on boss fights is a little weird in this game. Like, you'll have a boss that's pretty easy, then you'll have a boss that's moderately difficult, and then you'll have a boss that's really easy. There's not much, you know, flow to it. And, like, the Ninja Gaiden games and Castlevania games, typically there was more of a smooth flow of difficulty change in the bosses. You know, culminating with Death and Dracula, which are easily the hardest bosses in the game. Especially if you want to play those games kind of normally and not utilize very specific tricks that make life a hell of a lot easier. Alright, I need to stop taking damage because I'm about dead. Yeah, so the level after this, we're gonna do. I'm pretty sure it's the levels after this. I really got to start using my projectiles more often. I really like to play it like Ninja Gaiden, where I'm just like sword all day. Gotta feel like a badass, you know? But yeah, I'm pretty sure, like right here, you know? Why do I need to make life hard on myself? Just do that. That's it. You know, just use that grenade. Use your handgun. Your handgun doesn't go all the way across the screen, but, you know, it can help you taking out guys that jump around like idiots, like these monkeys. Of course, I'm out of ammo now. So there are different power-ups you get to replenish your ammunition, and I haven't really explained that yet. But like that is a B icon. It's for bullets, I assume. It's for your handgun, basically. And the ones for G obviously stand for grenades. Again, I assume. And so your ammunition for those is actually next to your timer, kind of in the middle of the status bar below, and to the left of your timer. I don't think there's any more health here throughout the rest of this stage, and I think I'll go straight to the boss after getting through this section. I remember doing this section a couple times on stream. Whoa! Not usually for reasons like that, but that's a good reason to have to do this screen over again. Is getting knocked down a pit like that. Okay, so there was a little bit of health there right before the boss. And this boss is... I don't recall him being very difficult. So I'm getting these bosses and I'm like, what boss am I having to fight? I just don't remember. Because I'm not nearly as familiar with this game as I was, or am, with like your Castlevanias and Ninja Gaidens and whatnot. It is a game I'm going to have to play more frequently on stream. And obviously the more frequently I'll play it on stream, the more familiar I'll get with it. And here we are, we've got another shmuppy section, and then we're going to have another on-rails shooter section. First-person shooter section. And then after that, we're at the final level. So this shooter section, you do have to be a little more careful than you do on the first one in the game. You can actually die here. And I know you can actually die on the first level, but the first level is just such a cakewalk. Like, it's really hard to even take damage there. But here, it's much easier to take damage. You know, I kind of wish they did more of these shoot-'em-up sections. They're not really phenomenal by any means. There's a lot of slowdown in them. But it definitely is a good way to mix up the action, for sure. So I kind of wish they had at least another shoot-'em-up section, maybe halfway through the game, versus in the beginning and then near the end. I also forgot, by pressing A, you can actually adjust your speed. So your throttle, or gear, or whatever you want to call it, is the bottom center portion of the screen. And this guy's weak point is his head. I think instead of giving you, like, throttle controls, it would have been better if they gave you the ability to use like your bullets, your grenades, or something like that, to give you like a spread shot or like rocket shot or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. So to pick up your icons here in the on-rails section, all you have to do is just move your cursor over the pickups, and it automatically picks them up for you. It's not like Operation Wolf on the NES or anything like that, where you have to actually shoot the power-ups. And what I recommend doing in these sections is taking your time with your shots. Don't just mash the fire button over and over, because you do actually run out of ammunition. And while your ammunition does respawn, or not respawn, but it refills on its own, it's very, very slow to do so. So you'll find yourself at 0 bullets, and then for like 5 seconds you won't be able to shoot. It's pretty tough. So so this is our final stage. It's not a very long final stage, but you do have disappearing platforms again, kind of akin to the first level, except these are actually a little bit kinder, because they don't just fall below you. They sort of like disintegrate, like in Castlevania or something like that. So they're not as dangerous, but you do still have to watch out for them. It's the ones that literally just drop below you immediately. Those can just really screw you because of how the game handles, I guess, the platform detection. It really doesn't give you much control, and you'll just fall down into the pit with the falling platform. So I've just taken a lot of damage unnecessarily. I'm just too busy focused on talking and explaining stuff than I am actually playing the game. So this might not work out too well, but the level's not very long. Even if we get a game over, it's not the end of the world. We just got 2 hit points back from that health drop. And this part kind of sucks. You're kind of like at the mercy of these guys coming out. You pretty much have to take damage. Which is why I mentioned earlier on in the video how some of the enemy placement's not as good as, say, in something like Ninja Gaiden. Oh, that dude got me. He took away more than 1 hit point. At least I start on the top section. Now, if we get to the final boss, I have a feeling I should be able to beat the final boss in one go. I'm trying to remember the pattern in my head, and I don't recall it being very tricky. And there's actually 2 forms to the final boss in this game. Oh, what? I was on the disintegrating platform. and I fell to my death. So note to self, be more careful. It's a good thing this level's not very long. It's not like Ninja Gaiden where the last level is just really long, all things considered. In the grand scheme of things, the final level in Ninja Gaiden is really not that long. You can just blaze through it in like 2 minutes, but it's more than just 3 screens like it is in v.i.c.e. Project Doom, so... And there's a lot more going on in that final stage. Alright. Yeah, like this screen is like nothing. I mean, there's enemies, but it's very, very short. Now we're on the final screen already. So, getting a game over in this game, it's not, you know, the end of the world like it is in something like Ninja Gaiden, where... You might be able to take these guys out without getting hit if you cleverly use your projectiles, but I'm just like, eh, whatever. They do so little damage compared to other similar platformers that I just don't really feel threatened, you know, like, the knockback isn't nearly as bad as in something like Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania. You have control over your movement after you get hit in the air. And so, in those instances where I'm jumping over those pits, and I get hit by those guys in midair, I can just control my fall back to the platform. So, you know, it's a lot easier in this game. So this guy's kind of interesting. You can actually control the direction he shoots. So if you hold down, he shoots down just like that. And I was just demonstrating that intentionally. So we're gonna have to do this again, but it's not a big deal. Oh, look at that. So you can apparently just run right through that other guy. Or run right underneath him. Let's see about this dude. No, can't do it. Alright, so we're going to use our grenades. And what I want to do is not hold down, because I want him to shoot up. Or shoot while he's standing. And it just makes life a lot easier. Alright, now we're on to the final boss, the actual final boss. And this guy you have to kill with grenades. And he's actually a really easy final boss. Oops, forgot that he does that though. Basically need to hit him on his head. You have the ability to hit him twice with one grenade if you do it just right. Generally, it's best to just wait till he drops on the ground like that. And that didn't do a single hit of damage. That did one hit. That did one hit as well. It's kind of weird how it works. That did one hit. One. That just did one hit as well. You can probably do 2 hits guaranteed if you get him while he's sort of like ducking towards the ground. Right there. Yeah, see 2 hits. You gotta get it just right. Oh, I missed it. And that's it. So it's not the kind of final boss where you can just kill him in, like, instantly. But if you follow the pattern, it's not really a hard final boss at all. And so guys, that's v.i.c.e. Project Doom for the NES. The ending is really, really short in this game. And, But yeah, it's, you know, pretty cool game overall. If you haven't played it before, I do recommend checking it out. It's, again, as you can see in the game, it's got some pretty good graphics. I guess the soundtrack is kind of forgettable overall, actually, now that I think about it. But at least it sounds good while you're playing, you know, it's not like it's bad or anything. It's just not the most memorable soundtrack to me. But I like the variety of gameplay styles in the game. I like how tight the controls are. It's just a very well-controlling game. Very fast, very brisk. You know, your character's movement is pretty quick. And everything just feels very tight in this game, which is good. Some of the enemy patterns, not my favorite. But it is a cool game. And if you're a fan of the Ninja Gaiden games, definitely check it out. And of course, if you like Castlevania and stuff like that, maybe a little bit of Batman or Kabuki Quantum Fighter or something like that. Well, this is a lot better than Kabuki, but still, kind of similar vein of games, if you know what I mean. Definitely give it a try. So, that's pretty much it for me, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Hey, if you've played this game, post some comments below. I want to hear your thoughts on this game, what you think about it. Have you beaten it? Have you had trouble with it? Etc., etc. If you need some help with it, obviously you've seen the video already if you're watching to this point, but if you have any other questions, just feel free to post them in the comments below. And for everybody else that's watching, thanks again, as usual. I'll see you guys soon, and take it easy.